Muchova, third tournament back. She's in a final, and has enough points from this from being just in the Cincinnati final and the US Open semi-final from last year that she's still in the top 30 at least until Cincinnati. But she looked. I mean, her draw was very different. Like, it was a battle to get through up
Just
to the
first round.
semi-final.
The first round was such a battle.
Was tough.
Yeah.
Second round was tough. Third round was tough. And then Begu was not tough. Begu, she crushed her way through. I think she played herself into form by that point, which is probably why the final was so good, because Muchova figured it out. But yeah, third tournament back. I think playing herself into form is probably the best description for her at this point, given she's not played for a while before.
And I think it's what she needs. I think she may have been making the best decision for what her body allowed, but coming back on the grass didn't seem like the smartest idea. And now it still doesn't, especially when you compare her time on the grass at, I think, Eastbourne and Wimbledon to now a finalist run in Palermo. Her game suits the clay better. Oh, actually, she has an all-surface game, but I do think
she loves grass. Her base level on grass is really, really good. She got to Eastbourne quarters straight off the bat.
She does love grass, but she's made a Roland Garros final. So if I had to choose, I'd give her the slight edge in being that much more comfortable.
And I will. Most of her career finals have been on grass, on
clay. Yeah. So that was kind of like what I saw. Even though she was struggling with her body, really, she was taped, and she could have been out of the tournament first round. I actually watched the WTA YouTube highlights of her first round against Akugwe, the German-born Nigerian lefty, who I think has a pretty good future ahead of her. And that was very tricky, but she kind of weathered her own storm, and her body kind of adjusting to playing lengthy matches again, and the storm of her opponents, and that was the trend all week. So that was good to see. I just she kind of surprised me in a way, Muchova did, because I can't say that in the time she's been off tour, I've heavily thought about her or like wanted her back in the mix. I know that kind of sounds a little bit harsh, but it's the truth. And this week reminded me of what she brings to the court that not everybody else does. And I do have an appreciation for it. I'm just not 100% sure if I'm going to get duped again, because I've had this process with Muchova where she shows me exactly how much of an all-court and all-surface player she is. She gets to a huge semifinal or a final of a tournament, Grand Slam, 1000, what have you, and then like the momentum shortly fades after because of her body letting her down and her not being able to kind of really take the full rigors of the WTA Tour week in, week out, which is tough, but the best players in the world know how to manage it. And I'm just uncertain if she has figured that out or will figure that out. Especially now that what is her I guess win-loss record in finals now? It's not that great, because
1-4.
Yeah, it's not amazing. And maybe she was the underdog in this match against Zheng Qinwen, but that kind of just adds to
I did look it up. So the finals that she's been in before now, her first career final was 2019. She lost to Jill Teichmann. Not a bad loss, I don't think, at that point in Teichmann's career.
In hindsight, it hasn't aged that well, but sure.
Well, at the point they were both out in their careers.
Yeah, fair enough. I think wasn't that in Prague?
Possibly. I know Muchova's next title was on clay.
No, the only title she has, the one title she has is in Korea, which was a 250 in 2019 on hard.
Yeah, so she won that, and I thought she won a clay tournament.
I think the same thing too. It's weird that like on paper she has been to the semifinals, or at least the quarterfinals are better of every single. Quarterfinals are better at every single major, but that one WTA title is in Korea on a hard court. It just is kind of inexplicable.
Yeah. She's made 3. Yeah, her 5 finals, 3 on clay, 2 on hard. I don't know why I thought that was it. But yeah, she crushed Magda Linette in that final, 1-1. Destroyed Linette. Didn't then get back into another final for 4 years, and that next final was the French Open, which was she could have won, maybe, probably. She was a breakup in the decider against Swiatek. then Coco in Cincinnati.
At Cincinnati, yeah.
And then Zheng in Palermo in a court that she loves. So 3 final losses to top 10 players is not bad. She should have beaten Lynette, maybe. I don't know. Lynette can be a really tricky player. Just was on her day. Just wasn't Lynette's day on that day. And the Teichmann loss was, I think the score ended up being 7-6, 4-6, 6-4. So it was a
tight
super
match.
tight match.
Tight match. I just, on paper, when you list out her achievements on paper, and when I see her play with my own two eyes, I should be rolling off in my mind, in theory, a lot more achievements for Muchova at this stage of her career and her age, given how long she's been on tour. But it's not translating to her.
Yeah, that's because she's been injured.
Yeah, so she's kind of she's a conundrum in my head. Like, when I watch her play, I see all the things that make up a good tennis player. It's just the one huge thing is that it seems like her body is the thing that kind of really truly ebbs and flows as to how much it can really take on the tour. So it's kind of frustrating.
That's difficult to control, right? I mean, we saw that with Anna Konyu. Whenever she was on, she was like, she did a couple of interesting things, but
that's such a great name to throw back, Nick.
Yeah.
I like Anya Konyu.
Yeah, Anya Konyu was great, but it's just her body's not working out, and I don't think that's anyone's particular fault, right?
It's just hard. Yeah, it's sports. It can be difficult.
But yeah, I am optimistic that if Muchova hits a run of health at the right point, she will get herself another title, and I am very confident it could be a big title. I'm of the opinion that if she is healthy at a Grand Slam, she is a contender to win it.
Are you saying that based off of the recency bias of her Czech sisters lifting Grand Slam titles out of nowhere, like Vondrousova?
No, I'm basing it on how she played in the French Open last year.
Fair enough, because she could have won that match if she probably was playing anybody else. The way she played, she would have won it.
Yeah, and like the way she took out Sabalenka from nearly being out. You know, she's got some. She took out Ash Barty in Australia in her career. Like, this is a really dangerous player in Muchova, and I think she's got so many tools in her.
So you're erring on the side of optimism when it comes to her career. Is that the stance you're taking?
I am erring on the other side of optimism because of what we've seen from her and how good she can be, and we've seen with the WTA, right, that right place, right time happens.
Fair enough. I just quickly looked at her bio. She turns 28 this year in August, next month. A couple of days. Well, no, like a month from now.
Don't rule anyone out at 28. Jasmine Paolini taught us that.
I was thinking Jasmine Paolini. I was also thinking Stan Wawrinka, players that had shown that they had the ability to really bother the best players in the world, but just didn't really put it all together until that late 20s, early 30s. I would just err, because I don't want to make a fool out of myself. I'd err on the side of being just a little bit pessimistic in her career trajectory. I think she can add another WTA title. I'm just not. I wouldn't put myself out there and say it's going to be a 1,000 or a slam. It's just she's shown me enough to where, like, she can win 5 and 6 matches in a row. But at some point, given just the overarching history that of watching Muchova, some point there's going to be an issue with her body, and I think that opens up the window to the next person in the locker room or directly across the net from her and her opponent. So I think she's a great player, and I want to see more of her. I'm just preparing myself to kind of still be on the Muchova train of ups and downs.
Here's what I will say on that. I think it's very easy to be wrong when talking about tennis, right? Like, I think we're wrong more often than we're right. We're about half. It's about 50-50. And I would much rather be wrong being pessimistic about a player than be wrong. I'd rather be wrong being pessimistic about a player. Hang on. I'd rather be wrong being optimistic about a player.
Yes.
Yeah. Than being wrong being pessimistic about them, because I think you look more of an idiot if you do them down and then they do something that's kind of worth achieving. And I think it's also better to give hope rather than whatever the opposite is.
Fair enough. I see a lot in her game, and I see opportunities for her to compete with the best. and I just my gut feeling leads me to believe that I'll land on the side of slight pessimism. I know that sounds harsh, but I'll land on that side. But you said a really good thing that, like, sometimes it's easy to be wrong about things in tennis. I know one thing that is very easy to be right about when it comes to Karolina Muchová, and that is her eyebrows. Like, I don't consider myself like an eyebrow aficionado, top tier of the world. However, when I went bald, you can't see it now because I have a hat, but when I went bald years ago, I realized just how much of an importance your eyebrows are on your face. And every time I see Muchová, her eyebrows look perfect. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea or anything they're paying attention to on the tennis court, but this is me. And they look amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest, Myles. Now, if we ever meet in person, I'm going to have a look at your eyebrows to see how well groomed they are. And if you could stand by your assessment there.
They are. I do take good pride in managing my eyebrows when I go to the barbershop. But whatever Muchová does, I think we'd have a good conversation about it because hers are flawless. She posted a picture on Twitter with the runner-up plate in Palermo with her team, and all I could see was just her amazing eyebrows. Like, they're full, they're well-shaped. Like, she just has a blessing.
Karolina Muchová, you're probably not watching this. We may be divided over your prospect of winning trophies and big trophies, but one thing we are willing to say is you have amazing eyebrows, girl.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, there we go. Did not think that was going to be coming out of my mouth at any point in my life, but we move on. So, and yes, this is Eyebrows Weekly, according to Shauna in the chat.
I am now the new talking tennis eyebrow aficionado. Look, there's more proof. There's more proof. Thank you, producer, great extraordinaire. That is great proof.
If anyone's listening back to this on the audio podcast, there's plenty of Google images of Karolina Muchová to back us up here.